So cool thing. I'm creating a program for designers on how to create and run a booked out design business. Yes, I am so excited to officially be saying it, you guys. So here's the thing. I was on a walk a few days ago and I was thinking and brainstorming about this course, talking it kind of out in my head. And as I was doing that, I had the bright idea to take you all along with the journey, for the journey with me, because if you listen to this podcast regularly, you know I love teaching so much and naturally gravitate towards how can I share what I'm learning with you guys every time I'm doing something cool. So that's what I'm going to do in this episode. And I found that so many people, they talk about creating their programs, their courses after they've been done, but there are very few people, because I have checked, I would love to hear it, but who are talking about it when they're in the trenches of it or when they just finished creating all of that kind of stuff. But I wish more people would take people along for the journey. So that's what I want to do for you guys. And I asked on Instagram stories, actually, would you be interested in some episodes like this? And it was an astounding, yes, please do it. So throughout the process of making this program, I'm going to do episodes updating you in the process. So this is the first of those episodes. And I'm going to be talking about the plans for it, the steps I'm taking, what I'm working on, where I'm at with different things, the why, the struggles that come up through doing this, all of that. And I want to say that this content in these episode series, this is not just for those of you who are designers and who are interested in the course. Although I would love for you guys to listen to this too, if that's you. But this is also for any business owner who's I'm thinking about creating my own online program, or I'm thinking about branching out into products and all of that kind of thing. Or if you're just even I'm curious what goes into creating a new offer, all of that. I'm hoping that you guys will benefit from hearing my experience with it and that these episodes will inspire you, entertain you, because it's going to be a little bit more like a true behind the scenes with little tidbits throughout of random advice you can implement. So I hope this episode entertains, inspires, and that you have fun. And thanks for coming along for the journey. Let's dive in. Hey guys, it's Elizabeth McCravey, and you're listening to the Breakthrough Brand Podcast. Each week, I'll bring you workshop-style trainings that teach you how to stand out online, design success from the inside out, and create a breakthrough business. It's time to turn viewers into raving fans and design the business and life of your dreams. I'm so excited you're here. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, I'm your host, Elizabeth McCravey. I'm a website designer and business strategist. And if you're a regular listener, you know most of my episodes are here's 7 ways to do this thing and all of that. This one's going to be a bit more casual. I really am talking talking friend to friend about what I'm working on, and hoping that for you that there's some advice and things to be heard throughout this. And I've intentionally put pieces of that in here. But I also think it's fun to just see behind the scenes of someone creating something. So this might be a little bit more all over the place, but I can go ahead and tell you what to expect here. So I'm going to talk about choosing when to add an offer to your business that's different than services, creating scalable offers, and choosing when to do that and when's the right timing. I'm going to talk about how this idea came about for me, struggles I've had in the creation process so far, getting really real with that. I'm going to tell you about the course. If you're curious, what even is this course? I'll talk about that, what I've done so far and what I still have left to do. And then I'm going to talk about pre-selling, beta programs, and all the different options for when it's a first-time product. And then lastly, I'll talk about how to get on the wait list. If you're ooh, that sounds cool, click on the show notes to already have that info there, but I'll talk about that at the end. And again, this is not for people who are just interested in the course. So if that's not you and you're I'm not a graphic designer, stick with me because I think there's something here for you as well. Okay, so first thing, I want to talk about how this came about, how this idea to change up to a new offer. So interesting thing, this course I'm creating has actually been a dream of mine for a while, in business owner years, not in actual life, but for a while over the course of this business so far. And 3 things to kind of know about me that relate to why this offer makes sense. 1, I love teaching. really, really love teaching. That's why I think I love this podcast so much. But like as a kid, I was not someone who wanted to be a teacher ever. My mom is actually a retired teacher and didn't always love it. But I never wanted to be a teacher, but I do think I have that love of education in me. And once I figure something out, I always want to tell everyone, I'm like, you need to know this thing. And so I really love teaching. I also love business and strategy. And interesting thing, again, here's a little nugget of advice here. I do not think you have to be the best at what you do to be one of the best at what you do. And what I mean by that is that you don't have to be the world's greatest designer to build an incredible, profitable six-figure design business. Being good at the skill is one thing, but being good at creating a business is another thing. And I think it takes both. But I think sometimes people think, oh, if I'm just a good enough designer, if I'm good enough coach or whatever it is, the clients will just show up. But the truth is, it's a lot more business, a lot more marketing, a lot more strategy with that. So I love helping people with the business side. And that's what this course is going to focus on more, is like the business side of things for designers. But yeah, you don't have to be the best designer ever to have a really awesome business. And a lot of times the people who build the best businesses aren't necessarily the best at the art of whatever it is. Okay, the third thing, I'm really bad at keeping secrets, like so bad at it. So someone actually a couple days ago left the review for the podcast and said, I can't believe this podcast is free. The info's so good. And I'm like, thank you, by the way. But I'm also like, I'm not good at keeping secrets. Like I'm not someone who is like, oh, I want success only for me. So I need to keep that under wraps, this like one thing. I can't share it. So that's not how I operate. I like to tell all. I'm an open book. And so I approach this podcast that way, but I'm also going to approach this course that way. And that's why I felt like so compelled and led to create a business course for designers, is because I feel like I've figured some stuff out and I want to be able to share that and help other people with that. So yeah, this course has been a dream for a long time in business years, but not in like my actual life, but I have thought about this for a long time. And seriously, a cool thing, when I was thinking on all this the other day, I found a journal where I wrote about this course idea and then another idea that's another course I think I'll do in the future, but not immediately. And I literally wrote in the journal, I wrote about the ideas, and then I wrote at the bottom, this isn't going to happen soon, but this is a big dream I'm holding on to. And that was in 2017, kind of at the beginning of the year. So almost close to 4 years now that I've had this idea. And it was so cool reading that in the journal, which, by the way, another little tidbit here, it is so important to write your dreams down. So I keep a business dream journal separate from my main journal for that purpose. So every year I start a new journal that I write prayers in. I write random journal things in, typically in like my morning Devo time. And then I have another journal that I sometimes will use the same one for like 2 years because I write in it less, but that's for business streaming. And I keep that separate from the random notepads I buy to take notes in for my business. But I think it's helpful to have it separate from the other journal because it's easier to find things for later. So like on that page, I had literally written course idea and then I had dated it. It's so wonderful to look back on. And having a business dream journal is a way for you to be like, I'm going to write something in here that might feel ridiculous and hold on to it for later, which is literally what I wrote on that page. So it's really cool to look back on. And I really do feel like God laid the idea for this course on my heart and this desire for it all those years ago, like in 2017, which again, I know is not that long ago, but in the course of how long I've had a business, it feels like a long time ago. But in that journal, I've had ideas for this program before it happened, and that entry and others. And before it even made sense in my business, at the time when I wrote that, it was like, that wouldn't have made sense at the time, which I'm going to kind of talk about next, about like the timing of when you do things. But yeah, it's just lovely. It's fun to look back on. So start a business dreams journal if you don't do that already. It does not have to be anything fancy, but write down your stuff, write down big things that feel silly, that feel stupid to say out loud maybe, and date it so you know when you wrote it. Okay, so that's kind of like how it came about, is I've felt led to do this for a while and I felt excited about it for a while, but have waited for the right timing. And so I want to talk about that next. Why now for this course? Okay, like I've been a designer for a while, so I could have done this a long time ago, right? Maybe, I don't know. So with the timing, I think there's advice here to be heard by someone. This is going to be me talking more thoughts for you guys and some teaching here for a moment. But if you do too much too soon, it won't do well. Okay, a little thing that hopefully that's something encouraging for someone. But here's what I see too often. I so often see businesses create one offer that doesn't do that great. And so then they make another offer and then another and another, and they're keeping all these offers. So before you know it, they have like 5 ways to work with them on their website. None of the ways are that compelling. None of the ways are making them money, but they basically just have all these different places they're putting their energy to. And it's really tempting to do that because as entrepreneurs and visionaries, we have big ideas that we want to execute on. So it's like, you started something, you haven't really built it up yet, but you're like, oh, but I have this other idea. It's going to be so good. So then you do it all, and then none of them are done that well. So here's what I think a great long game strategy is for your business. Again, this is going to be, I'm kind of putting an umbrella over this, so you have to apply it to your own business, but this is what I've personally done, okay? So I started with services, and that's where most people start in their business. They start with services, and I would say do the service really well. Max it out, become known for that, become in demand with the service. And then if there's something else you want to do besides services, do that next thing and do the same process. So get it to a well-oiled machine and then go on to the next thing. And that's exactly what I've done with my business. So for me, I started with design services. I got that to a point, I would still say it's to a point where I love the way it's doing. The demand's high, my clients are dream clients, and the pay is where I want it to be, partially because of the demand. So I got that to where I want it to be. And then once I was really booked out, like completely to an overwhelming amount where I was saying no to clients constantly, I made my website templates. So I did not make the templates to somehow solve a problem of not booking enough clients. Okay. Again, that's so important for you guys to hear, because I think some people create products as a Band-Aid for a service that is not working, which doesn't work long term. So if you can't book someone for your like top-notch thing, the solution isn't necessarily to turn that top-notch thing into a lower cost template or course or something. You'll ultimately make less money doing it that way. In most cases, again, I'm generalizing a bit, and I'm going to do an episode on that topic later. But with my website template shop, guys, I sell website templates if you're new here. That's my main offer. And I've really, this year and last year, I've gone all in on it. That's been my main offer. I've taken on very few one-on-one design clients, and that's been the primary way I make money. And it's been really good. I built that up. I focused on it. I built my template shop to where now make multiple 5 figures a month just from the website templates, not even the other things I do. So my goal, I still want to make more templates. I still want to pour into template buyers and all of that. And I made that my 100% thing first. And so just also a little quick note here as I say that, if you're someone who's a template customer and you're like, wait, don't stop doing templates, or you want to work another way for people who aren't designers, I'm going to talk about that too, because I'm not abandoning you guys, and this podcast is still going to be very much for everyone. But yeah, in my template shop is not going anywhere. But now that it is built up to a place where it does feel like it runs like a well-oiled machine. And again, I'm still have so many improvements I'm doing to it. Actually, there's some cool stuff I'm working on right now for all of you who are past template customers. Or if you're thinking about a template soon, this would apply to you as well. So stay tuned for that. But there's all kinds of cool stuff I'm always doing to improve it. But now I'm making this new offer for a new audience after both of those things were set up, profitable, and really crushing it. So if you're someone thinking, I want to create a new offer, I'm so excited about it, my visionary brain is going wild with this idea, I'd love to challenge you on it of does it make sense for you yet? And an analogy I really love for this is thinking about your offers as bridges. So many people start building a bridge with a service. So imagine yourself, you're standing on one side, there's a big body of water under you, and you're building a bridge. The other side is your business being at 6 figures or whatever that big goal is. Okay. So you make the bridge, and with the service, it's not doing that great, let's say, and you're struggling to build the bridge all the way across. So then they maybe make the next bridge, and the next bridge is a product or course. And so now they have two half built, maybe 75% built bridges. And then the new bridge isn't doing well, and actually maybe even doing worse than the first bridge was, because they should have started with building the first bridge all the way. And so then maybe they build another bridge, and then you end up with a business that has like 3 half-built bridges, and your business basically is falling off into the water, and you're not reaching that success at the other end of the bridge. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like I needed a visual to explain that well, but that's not what we want, right? So I could have made this course. The point is, I could have made it a year ago. I feel like I definitely have improved a lot as a designer, even this past year, but a lot of this stuff I'm going to teach, I could have taught then, but I'm building my business one bridge at a time, which meant being patient with what I'm offering, playing a long game, and not rushing to make 1,000 offers when it doesn't make sense. So hopefully that little bridge idea helps someone today. Okay. Next part of this episode. So the plan for the program. This is really cool. I'm excited to share this. And a funny thing, talking about struggles that I want to share actually right here, is that when, and I think, again, someone listening might need to hear this, but when I was prepping for this episode and making the outline, interrupting this episode with a suggestion for the small business owners listening. Ever wonder what you should do for healthcare when you and your spouse are both self-employed, so there's no work-provided health insurance to participate in? Well, when my husband Adam joined me in the entrepreneurial job space over 4 years ago, we joined Christian Healthcare Ministries instead of getting traditional health insurance. And it was the best decision for us, especially in these years of growing and raising a family while also running multiple businesses. CHM is a health cost-sharing ministry and is a faith-based alternative to health insurance. We did tons of research before choosing CHM, and if you know me and Adam, you know we are all about doing the math when making big or small financial decisions. And even though it's not insurance, CHM shares 100% of eligible medical bills, which is more than the typical 70 or 80% of medical bills paid for by insurance companies. All sharing is determined by the CHM guidelines, which you can check out before and after joining. And for the mamas and mamas to be listening, you truly cannot find a better healthcare option for maternity care. I had a vaginal delivery and a C-section and birth center care and hospital care between my 2 pregnancies and births, and it was all 100% shared for. And outside of birth, we've had our share of emergency room visits and procedures as a family, and those costs were all shared by members at Christian Healthcare Ministries, leaving us only paying our monthly contribution. CHM is less expensive month to month than insurance, and because there's no network, you can choose your care with whichever providers best fit your family. I seriously just cannot recommend Christian Healthcare Ministries enough. You've got to check them out. Go to elizabethmccravey.com/CHM for more information. Also putting that link in the show notes, elizabethmccravey.com/CHM. Now back to the episode. I had a moment when I was thinking of like, okay, let me talk about what all goes in the course. I had a moment of, wait, should I tell the details of what I'm including? Because what if someone copies me? Right? And I've been copied a lot lately, and I've gotten more sensitive to it, I think. Sensitive as in like aware, not necessarily upset by it. But it hit me though, even as my brain told me that of like, keep it all a secret in case someone else does the same thing. It hit me that like, first of all, there already are people doing courses for graphic designers. There are plenty of people out there doing that. But also if someone were to listen to this podcast, read my future sales page for it, and make the quote unquote exact same course, it seriously would not matter. And again, I think someone listening needs to hear this about your own offer, because only you can do it in the unique way you plan to do it, and with the unique content you plan to share, and with your unique spin on things, your unique teaching style, all of that kind of stuff. And so when someone copies the idea or the sales page or whatever, they can't copy the results. They can only copy what they're seeing there. And so with this course, I'm like, I feel like I can share it and be like, this is what I'm doing. Because again, other people have already done this, but also like I am bringing my unique spin to it, and the overall style and the teaching, all of that. And so basically to you guys listening, a little nugget here of like a tip. Like I said, there'd be a lot of these throughout, but people can copy something random you do, but they can't copy your results or who you are as a person and what you bring to the equation, or even what your audience likes about you. Like you have unique traits given to you by the Lord that like are not copyable. So sometimes it's better, like that's a call to be bold, really. And that's how I feel about this. So anyway, I kind of let that go quickly of like, okay, I don't need to be afraid about that. But I know some of you might be in that same boat about not putting yourself out there fully because you're afraid of someone copying you. So a little tip there. Okay, so now though about the program. Okay, so simply put, this course is going to be for designers who want to book more clients. That's like a simple, like literally the most common language way I can put it. It's going to be obviously way more than that, but that's the main goal of what I'm going to be teaching. It's going to be very marketing focused versus like, here's how to make a logo or something like that. And the reason I've come to this being the topic I want is because it takes so much more than being good at design to make money as a designer. I kind of was talking about that earlier, but so many of the best designers aren't actually making any money because they aren't good at marketing. So we're focusing on the marketing, how to book more clients, how to become in demand as a designer so that potential clients are knocking on your door versus you feeling like you're always having to chase down clients. And also how to raise your prices properly, charge right, nail discovery calls. That's going to be a big focus of like the booking, the client phase and client communication, all of that. And my goal is going to be to cut out the fluffy stuff that isn't needed in the course and really focus on the getting client sides of things. It's always tempting. I'm sure if any of you are in the like time of creating a course for yourself, it's tempting to do a kitchen sink course, basically meaning like, here's every piece of knowledge I know. And I don't want to do that. I want to make this like actually make sense, be a course people can get through, but that also does contain everything you need to know to like really make more money as a designer. So focusing on the getting client side of things and all of that. And I am going to have pieces of my own system in there of like, here's how I run a client project. But I think a lot of designers, and I'm learning this through talking to them, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, of something I'm doing to really nail down what this course is going to be about. But I think a lot of designers have systems they like, but they need clients to go through the system. And for those who don't like their system, who's interested in this course, I'm going to have my full system that I take clients through, the process, all of it in there. And there'll be plenty of templates and all kinds of stuff like that that you can use. But I'm going to also focus on like another focus I'm excited about, the random blocks that keep you as a designer from being able to book clients, like maybe not being comfortable with selling, lacking confidence, lacking clarity, feeling like putting your money problems on your clients, things like that. And then another thing, selling the wrong thing. That's something I really love exploring. And a hint about what I mean by that is that your process is not your offer. And I see so many designers talking about their process as if that's what they're selling, but that's not what you should actually be selling. So things like that about figuring out like, hey, what the heck are you actually selling? How do you sell it well? And all of that kind of good stuff. And I have an outline and things like that that I'm working on. Again, I'll talk about that in a moment, but those are kind of some focuses of it. And then another element that's going to be a big part of it that makes me excited, because this is just something I personally love, but a community and coaching aspect to it. So along with the program, I really want to make a community for designers that you can be in if you want to be or not, probably as a Facebook group of other people who are in the program. And I love a good, engaged private Facebook group. So that's why I'm like, this feels like a must for me. And my goal will be for it to be a highly engaged community where you can ask questions, share your wins, share like actual stuff that you might not want to share in some public Facebook group, and get feedback from other people who get it. So like as an example, you don't want to post some question about a difficult client situation you're dealing with in a free Facebook group where all your potential clients are. You want to ask that to a mentor and other people in your industry privately. So that will be a goal of this group. And we'll also have coaching calls that come with it for a couple weeks after the program starts, or maybe forever. I haven't really figured that out yet. Again, this is all very like I'm figuring this out like as we speak, like thinking on all this for a while now. But accountability is a big aspect of it I want. And I think courses are incredible, and I plan for this content to be really tactical, but sometimes like a course can't answer the question to your very specific thing you're trying to figure out. And you need some people to like talk through ideas with. So that's going to be a big goal there. So that's kind of like an overview of what's included. Okay, now let's talk about some struggles, right? The struggles and hangups I've had with the creation process so far. And again, it feels vulnerable to share, but that's like the purpose of this episode. So I want you to like hear about this process when I'm actually in it. So a hilarious thing, you guys, I literally cracked myself up with this because I annoyed myself when I did this, but I had a moment, like a literal 24-hour lapse of like decisiveness, which happens to me all the time as an Enneagram 6, but this one was particularly annoying. But I started struggling with who to make the course for. So originally, as I've been, again, like telling you guys about my business dream journal, I've been seeing this as a course for designers for years. Like that's what I've always thought. I'm going to make a course for designers on how to run a successful design business. And that expands past just website designers to like literally, brand designers, web designers, logo designers, people who do brochures, even brand strategists, all of the different stationery designers even. But I thought only the design industry, right? And then, so a couple of weeks ago on Instagram, I started talking about this course, and I had a call to action for some of you to message me if you were interested in hearing more and all of that, which I'll talk about in a moment. But I had some people message me who are not designers being like, oh, I would love to take that course. That sounds awesome. So to those of you, some of you are copywriters, coaches, and some other fields who messaged me, one, thank you for your kindness and excitement about this offer. But then it literally threw me into a spiral. Like all of a sudden I was seriously like reviewing my outline so far for the module ideas. And I was like, oh my gosh, a lot of this content could apply to all services. Like, oh no, what am I going to do? And then I went to freak out mode for like 24 hours. And I was like, who is this course for? And I annoyed a few loved ones of mine by sorting it out. I asked in a private Facebook community that I'm in for a program I do and got advice there. And I just really like freaked out about it for a moment. And then I came back around pretty quickly to the decision to make it just for designers. And of course, other people could take it as well if they wanted to, but the like purpose to be for designers. And I want to tell you guys why, because I think this is a struggle, again, that so many people can go through of like, who are you making the thing for? So I have really 5 reasons, I guess, or 5 ways I figured it out about doing just a designer. So one, like I said earlier, I've literally felt the Lord telling me to make a program for designers specifically since I wrote that in the dream journal. Like that's been something laid on my heart, I think, for a purpose and something I knew would be part of my business at some point. So it's like, okay, well, that was supposed to be for designers, like does not need to be for everyone, it needs to be for designers. Second reason, I think when in doubt, niching down is better because it helps you not water down the content you're creating. So I want this course, like I said earlier, to be really specific, not high level, basic ideas that you have to figure out how to apply to your own business. I want it to be super like tactical, specific to designers. I have a bunch of really cool ways I plan to do that I'm not going to share yet, but I want to be able to be like tactical, easily to apply. And I think if I did it just for like anyone who's a service business, I would have to take some of the tacticalness out of it. Okay. So third reason, I already serve the other group I want to help, which is so many of you listening, through my website templates. That is the way I serve so many women in so many different creative and online business fields. So I'm serving them there, and then I'm going to serve the designers in this course. And with that too, I'm currently working on other ways to serve you guys who are not designers. So template customers who are like, I want to go deeper. I want more of this. Podcast listeners who are like, I want to go deeper. I want more coaching, more training, more business strategy, and a community, even all of that. So I have a lot of ideas and plans that have also been on my heart for like 3 years. It is like, you got to pick which way you're going to go first. Cause like I said, with the bridges, I'm not trying to build like 3 bridges at once. I'm going to build this next bridge and then the next one after that. But I realize like I have those dreams to create more stuff for like you guys listening to the podcast who are not designers. I'm going to do that. Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. But this isn't the time to combine it. This needs to be just for designers. So if you're someone listening who's like, I want more business support, I hear you, I got you, I'm working on it. And if you have any ideas where you're like, I'd really love to see this, feel free to DM me and tell me what your idea is that you'd love to get help with. And I am working on it. I'm brainstorming it all the time, just like I am this course, but it'll be separate from this program for designers. A fifth thing, this is something random that gave me clarity. So I have a survey I've been giving some people to fill out, designers who are interested in this course. And Maya, who is someone I've chatted with a lot on Instagram, but she answered one of the questions about, or actually she might have just wrote this as like something I should know about the course. But she literally said, I'm so glad you're making it just for designers versus all service businesses, and was super excited because she feels like it's going to be more tactical and all that. And I'm like, okay, like I need to remember these people who are excited about being just for them and focusing on that. And then I talked about this on a couple episodes ago, but when I struggle with the decision, I always ask myself, what advice would I give someone else about this? Because again, I love giving business strategy advice, and like I would tell someone else who's in the same struggle, niche down. Pick the original idea, pick the idea you feel called to, and niche down. So that's really the big struggle I've had so far. Another struggle, I don't even have even more than just that one written down because there certainly have been others, but making time for it, focusing on it, getting the modules figured out. I mean, that's a huge thing of like, again, wanting it to be really tactical, easy to get through. I do not want this to be a course that people buy and then never take. So trying to figure out a way to like get people through it, and create very action-oriented content there. Okay, so I want to tell you guys something cool I'm doing to prep for it, like some various things to get it all set up and ready to go. And then I also want to tell you all the things I don't have done yet, because that's kind of interesting, because you will literally, as I do these episodes, hear me figure those things out. So first of all, like, I said, I've been thinking about this forever, it feels like. So when I got serious about it this year of like, okay, this is something I'm going to do, I had notes on my phone. I had notes in Google Docs. I had sticky notes all over my office. I had journal entries. I had so many random things to compile. So kind of started with like figuring out like, okay, how do I make sense of all this? But I've multiple times this year, literally just random times I get inspired where I'm like, okay, this dream I have, I'm holding on to it. I don't know when I'm going to work on it, but like I'm going to take the next hour to work on this. That's literally how it's been when I feel really inspired. So multiple times I've done sticky notes on cardboard, like literally getting a piece of cardboard, sticking little sticky notes on it, outlining basically like, okay, what are the different things I'd want to teach, and then putting them in order of like, where should this go? Should this be a module? And this is a lesson in this module. And well, where order should this go in? All of that. And funny thing, a few weeks ago, we had friends visiting, and they stayed in our guest room, and then they were sitting in the car, we're driving, we go into the restaurant, and one of them has a sticky note on their back, and we're like, oh, where did this sticky note come from? And none of us could figure it out. And we were like, what does this even say? It's hard to read. And then eventually we figured it out that it was literally one of my sticky notes from like earlier this year, where I had written down a module plan and left it in the guest room where they were sleeping, and they got stuck on them and had wore it there. So we have sticky notes everywhere, basically is the point. I have little piles of them that are no longer on cardboards, but from times I've thought about this, and I've also put a lot of it into Google Docs now. So I have all the sticky notes. I've done that multiple times. I think that's a great way to like brainstorm visually, to figure out like moving stuff around easily, seeing how much is in each thing, all of that kind of stuff. And so now I've turned all of that sticky note situation, I still have a lot of them, but I've turned into a rough outline for what should go in the modules and videos. And again, I want to lead people through a process. So not just videos you watch and you have to make sense of, but really smart about what goes where and why and the order of it. I also want this course to focus a lot on mindset, because I think that's something that for me has made a huge difference, and something that can like be holding you back without you even realizing it. So there will be some elements of that at the beginning before we get to like the business tips, but also don't want this to be a giant course. So I'm trying to figure out like what should go in, what shouldn't, all of that. But I have a rough outline. I have a Google Doc that's literally called Course for Designers. It has all these different kinds of notes in it and that sort of thing. Okay, so those are like the two things I've done there. And then talking about selling it, you guys, and planning to sell it and all that. So when you make your first course, it's often a good idea to pre-sell the course or to do a beta program or something like that. You probably, if you've heard people who are experts on creating courses talk about those things. And so I'm a huge fan of pre-selling. Okay. I love it. I love the concept. all of it. I think it's so smart, but I've never tried it. Okay. But I get the logic, and that's why I've always liked it. So basically the idea there with pre-selling is before you make it, you sell it. Once you have the idea, you haven't made it yet, but you're like, basically at the point where I'm at, where you have like kind of a rough idea of the modules, you know who the target audience is, all of that. You do a webinar or email sequence or whatever you want to do, and you sell it at a discount where people can literally pay for it right now and it's not created yet. And in that case, you'd want to give them like once this pre-sale's over in, 3 months, it'll be here in your hands since you bought it. And then if enough people do want it and they're like, yes, they buy it, they want it, you're going to make it. But if not, then you refund the people who did buy and move on, or maybe no one buys. And then that gives you good clarity that you shouldn't create it. And the reason I love this so much is because if you are wrong about your course idea, or you're building a bridge too soon, like I was talking about earlier with the bridges, this is going to seriously save you so much time, because you won't have to make a course that no one's going to buy anyway, and you can focus your energy on one of those other bridges and building that up. So basically you verify that's a good offer for you to make, and you'll save yourself time from working on the wrong thing if you found it out to be wrong. So because of all that, I'm like, I love pre-selling, right? But I'm not pre-selling this. So I'm not doing a pre-sell. And it's interesting because I actually did consider it. I was like, I know I've always thought pre-selling is so cool, and so many people tell you to do that. And I could totally change my mind, but right now I have no intention to pre-sell. And I feel really certain about this offer. I feel that I'm doing something that people actually do want, and something cool I'm doing that hilariously, I have my next one of these in exactly 10 minutes. So I'm going to have to wrap up this podcast or pause it if I'm not done yet. But I'm doing something called course calls. So Amy Porterfield talks about this. She teaches on it on her podcast, Online Marketing Made Easy. If you just search course calls with her name, I'm sure you'll find it. But she did an episode with actually someone I know, Jamie, who lives here in Franklin where I do. Amy Porterfield interviewed her as like an example course call, and it was really cool. So course calls is basically like where you talk to someone who is a potential customer for your program, who you think is an ideal client for it, and you interview them. And you do it on Zoom, you record it, all of that. So at the time of this recording, I just had 2 of these today, and I'm about to have another one, like I said, in 10 minutes. And I have, I think, about 12 to 15 total scheduled. I have some today and tomorrow, and then I have some again a few weeks from now. And the way I came up with this, I just got on Instagram and I asked like, hey, are you a designer? Does this stuff apply to you? And I said some different points that are like what I think this course is going to be, the purpose of it, all of that. And then I said, if you're interested in answering some questions for me, send me a DM. And I had an overwhelming response. I was like, I literally had a moment before I posted. I was like, is anyone going to write me back? And then immediately it was like, yes, please, let's talk. I'm so excited you're doing this. And so I'm like, yes, this is awesome. Very clarifying to like this being a good offer. But of those people, the people who responded first, I got their email addresses and sent them an email about doing a Zoom call with me. And then some of the other people who didn't write back as quickly, I gave them a survey. And I had some people who said they just like would prefer to answer a survey anyway instead of Zoom. So I have a survey, and I'm doing the Zoom calls. And the cool thing about this, it's fun to hear in the words of the person you're trying to serve what they want from you in the course you're creating. So I would highly recommend course calls. Again, I've done 2 so far. They were both fabulous. It was so cool just connecting with these women. The 2 I've talked to so far, both are podcast listeners. So I'll give them a shout out, Ida and Michaela. Talked about them this morning. My next call is with Jessica. So that's again like in 10 minutes, but it's so cool just hearing, like getting to ask, okay, what's working, what's not, what would you want in it? What's really important to you and all of that. And it gives you such good insight. So I'm recording those. I'm taking notes after the calls. I'm taking some notes of like things specifically I learned from what they said. And then I'm like, okay, I want to include that. That's a good point. All of that. And then I'm sure I'll watch some of the videos again, to get some specific language even and that sort of thing. Okay. So I would highly recommend course calls. Definitely, consider doing that. Another way people pre-sell sort of, or I guess it's really the same thing as pre-sell, not the same thing. Another thing is a beta program. So where you do super discounted the first time you launch it. And you could do that really before it's created or after, but you like emphasize that the price is going up. And you're really giving people the low price in exchange for feedback over it. And I also don't think I'm doing that. I think I'm just going to like sell it. So anyway, again, I could end up changing that up, and I will update you guys on that in the next time I do one of these update episodes. But yeah, that's something I'm doing to prep and really getting me in the mindset for all of it. Other things I'm doing, I'm really getting smart and thinking through on like what makes a good program, and exploring like what do I like about programs I've done, what do I not like, how do I want the content to be delivered, because I think a lot of people think, oh, it's a course, it needs to be slides with a voiceover, and that's like it. So I'm thinking of like what are some unique ways I can make this a great learning experience for all different types of learners, basically, and including different elements of like different types of examples, different templates, things like that to make it really well-rounded. So I'm exploring all of that, getting myself in the mindset of what makes a good program. Okay, so now the things I have not done yet that I will be updating on next time I do one of these episodes. So I don't have a name yet. That's the first thing. I don't have a name for the program. Something I like to do when it comes to naming things is like basically keeping it in my mind like all the time that I want to think of it. I'll go on a walk and think about it. I'm hoping the name just comes to me basically. And I do have some specifics I want for it. Like I want it to be able to have a good acronym. I want it to not be too long. I want it to be clear that it's for designers when you hear the name. So not needing like subtext under it to understand, but clear from the name. And I've been considered using the word blueprint in it since my other two courses that come with my templates, the Show It Blueprint course and the Compelling Copy Blueprint. Both those have the word blueprint. I've always liked that word. But I'm debating whether or not to use it in this course title. So anyway, I'm just thinking on it. I'm waiting for it to come to me. And that's something too, when you think about creating a program for your business, you don't have to have a name right when you start. The name can come way later. Like I've already thought through, you guys, like even the exact ways I'm going to like market this. Like I actually hilariously have in my phone a video script I wrote that's like a video I want to make to sell it whenever I do launch it. And I think that's a helpful thing to think about of like when you're creating something, how are you going to market it? Like going ahead and thinking about that pretty clearly, because that's going to help you make sure that whatever promise you're making in your marketing, the stuff you're actually creating is going to fulfill it. So kind of giving you a vision for like, here's how I'm marketing it, here's the promise it's going to do, and then making sure the content aligns with that. So I've literally thought through like marketing stuff already. I have some sales page copy I've started on. I've done all of that. But again, I'm still not done with the program, but I am thinking about marketing like as I work on it. Okay, so like I said, I had that call with the next course call, and I just did that. And so now I'm back. I had to like pause to do that because I ran out of time, which was an awesome call with Jessica talking about what she would want in a course. So you guys, seriously, I just can't stress enough after having just done that again, because I paused this to do it, how valuable course calls are. I'm learning so much about like what people want, what they don't want, all of that good stuff. Okay, so back to the things I don't have done yet, though. I don't have a name, working on that still. I also don't have a price figured out yet, which that's an interesting one too, is I think sometimes we think we have to know the price before we start making the thing or have like a really set concept around it. I do have some general ideas that I'm not going to share yet. I have shared it with people who I've had calls with today because I'm curious of like, I've asked literally like, what do you think this should be priced at? Because I'm curious, like, what would you want to pay for this? But I do have some ideas around it. I think in reality though, whatever price I started at, the next time I launch it, it'll go up, which is another great way to figure out your pricing with this of like start lower and then plan to go higher possibly. So yeah, that's something I haven't figured out yet. I also don't know exactly what videos will go where in the order yet. I have a really rough outline, like I said, but don't have it fully figured out. And I haven't made any of it. I've started literally at random times, I'll get ideas of like, this is something that has to be in the course, and I'll jot it down in a note on my phone or in a Google Doc of like details of a module or like a framework idea and things like that. So I'm working on that as it comes to me. But yeah, I mean, the creating of it is a lot. And that's something too I've just kind of realized in all of this of like, creating a course is so much work. Like the marketing is its own whole beast to deal with, but then creating the course itself too is so much work. So it should be done there. So I think it's totally going to be worth it. And I'm absolutely so excited about it, but it's a lot. It's a process. And I also don't know when this will come out. That's another thing I don't know yet. I have no date yet at all. I'm hoping sooner than later though. And I am setting aside some time this fall and winter to work on it. So I think that'll be really helpful. And I think it's helpful too. Like I've made courses already because I've made those 2 courses that come with templates. So a lot of the like, what platform am I going to host it on? Like the making of slides and recording myself talking while I look at slides and outlines for stuff. I'm really familiar with doing all that because that's also similar to podcasting, but even more so similar to like the courses I've already made. So that's helpful that it's not like a first time thing. Okay. So that's everything, you guys. But the last thing I want to say, if you're a designer who's like, heck yes, I want details on this, I'm excited. First of all, please tell me. I love hearing y'all's excitement around it. And if you DM me saying you're excited, I would love to like probably ask you some questions. But if you are excited and you're like, I want more info, here's what I want you to do. Go to elizabethmccravey.com/waitlist, just waitlist, no dashes or anything. And you'll be able to put your name on a wait list. Or if you want to, cool thing, you can take a survey and give your own input for what you want in this course. Because seriously, I'm making this course for you guys. And so I want it to be what you want. So there's a survey. The questions are really similar to what I'm asking in these course calls. And you can take the survey, give your feedback, be as detailed as you want to be, and answer those questions. It'll help me in the creation of the course. Or if you're like, I don't really want to answer questions, you can just sign up on the form and get on the wait list. And as soon as I have more info on it or any random like trainings I do ahead of it, you'll get details on that in your inbox. So definitely go there, elizabethmccravey.com/waitlist. And I would love your feedback on the survey as well. So you guys, I hope this was fun. I hope this was interesting. Insider scoop of making my first big course. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so fun. I have so much excitement about this. And I already have so many other stories to share that I'm going to, hold off on because we're already at almost 45 minutes here. So yeah, stay tuned for more of these episodes and let me know if this was something that interests you, if you've learned something in it. Please share with someone who might be creating their own course. Hopefully this would help them. And let me know what takeaways you've had. Okay, you guys, bye for now. I'll be back next week with another episode. Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast today and for staying until the end. I appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this episode, then I want to invite you to check out my online course and coaching program for designers, Booked Out Designer. In this program, I teach you how to build a successful in-demand booked out business as a designer. You'll learn everything from the exact experience I take my clients through to things like figuring out your niche, mastering discovery calls, pricing your services for profit, creating contracts that will not cause you legal troubles, and my exact social media strategies to book clients. You even get to watch recordings of me in actual meetings with my actual clients so you can really learn through what you're seeing. We take things you're learning on this podcast and so many topics I never even cover on this show and deep dive into them. So in addition to the amazing course, the course is 9 modules of teaching with over 90 lessons. You get group coaching calls with me and access to an exclusive Facebook community of designers just like you. And fun fact, this isn't one of those kind of Facebook groups where the founder never comments on posts or you never see them in there. You'll find me there all the time, ready to help you out with any business question you have. So to get info on the course and to see when the doors will be opening again, head to elizabethmccravey.com/BOD, short for Booked Out Designer. I hope to be able to coach you and teach you inside of the course soon. And don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening so that you never miss an episode. And a great way to support the show is to leave a rating and review, share it with a friend, share it on social media. All of that will help get the word out. All right, I'll see you again next week.